While we're on the subject matter of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, as you know, a couple weeks ago, ESPN, Don Van Natta and Seth Wickersham broke the news that Bill Belichick did not get the requisite amount of votes to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and that just set off an absolute outrage, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Certainly, since we thought that it was motivated by pettiness. And
the King petty skill?
Well, then I began to read some of the articles written by some of the writers who admitted they didn't vote for Bill Belichick, and saying that the process was part of the reason why, that you have to vote for the regular order, if you will, for all those who still have their original eligibility left, and only 5 can make it from that group of finalists. And then there's 3 senior candidates that have been finalists, and that's in a different bucket, along with, in the same bucket as the finalists for the senior group, is contributor Robert Kraft, and coach this year was Bill Belichick, and you can only vote for 3 of those guys. And they decided, some writers, to vote just for the senior candidates. And I'm like, okay, at least I could see that. Although Robert Kraft is 84, and plus Bill Belichick, how do you look at him on a sheet and not say that's at least one of my votes,
yeah.
right? And then you heard them say that it could cast a shadow over the current class of the Pro Football Hall of Fame being announced. And I'm obviously biased since I'm part of that presentation. And last night for NFL Honors, out there with Kurt Warner, it was awesome. It was an incredible moment, at least for me personally, that I'm the one who says, hey, San Francisco, Roger Craig is in San Francisco. It was a great moment. And I learned of who the class was moments before that presentation, because the way NFL Honors goes, they bring you up about 20 minutes before you go on the stage, and then you go in the back and you read your teleprompter copy so you are familiar with it. You're not going out there cold.
Right.
And that's, as I roll through the monitor of the Canton class, as I roll through it with Kurt Warner going over our copy, that's where I learn who the class is, by reading the prompter. And I honestly thought to myself, that's it? Just 5 guys? Yeah. That's it. And that was the disappointing part about all this, is that if you have an opportunity to put somebody in the Pro Football Hall of Fame and you're sitting there and saying the senior candidates are worthy enough to be finalists, I think they should be rubber stamped personally. And if you're certainly not voting for Bill Belichick because you're voting for some other candidates of the 5, there must have been a bunch of voters who looked at Kraft, Belichick, and those 3 and only voted for one of them. Like, you could put 3 people in the Hall of Fame and you're like, no, I'm just putting in 1. I'm just putting in 2. And one of them's not Bill Belichick. I thought Belichick, and certainly Kraft not making it, would mean all 3, L.C. Greenwood and Ken Anderson, would make it from the senior committee, and only Roger Craig did. And you could put 5 guys from the list of finalists in, those who are waiting forever, and you only put in 4. Yeah. Like, what was that about? Like, what are we thinking? Because there's no question people like Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne, and I think Eli Manning, but I understand that that's an argument.
And Darren Woodson.
I mean, can go on and on and on and on and on. There's a spot. It's like you're taking off, a plane's taking off, and there's people in the gate waiting to get on, and you take off with empty seats.
Yep. That's a great analogy.
That's the way it is. Like, why would any airline do that? And again, the fact that Roger Craig gets in now after waiting all this time, and they're like, yeah, those stats that have been going around for 30 years, now we consider it worthy. And why would you put anyone through that when you can end it for someone like Anquan Bolden or Steve Smith Sr. and just put them in? But I understand people have standards, and it's all subjective. And I hope it is, instead of, being, objective. And I don't get it. I just thought to myself, there should have been last night on that stage, at the very, very least, 8 people represented. 8 people. Like, that's the max of people that you should put in. Put them in. Like, and if that's a problem with the bust gallery, not have enough space, then get more space. Build a basement. I don't know. You can build a second story. You can do all these things. I just couldn't believe that. I'm thrilled for Vinatieri, and I'm thrilled for Luke Kuechly, and I'm thrilled for Larry Fitzgerald, and obviously Drew Brees is a no-brainer. But you also could have put in one more from everybody waiting in, and you don't do that. And you could have put in two more from the list of L.C. Greenwood, Ken Anderson, Bill Belichick, and Robert Kraft. And you don't. I don't get it. I just don't understand it. And the best thing about these classes when they go into the Hall of Fame is you sit here and you listen to all those speeches. What's the big deal in listening to 2-3 more speeches? 2-3 more stories, 2-3 more journeys, finally getting the career capstone that they and their families are waiting for. Because trust me, I think there's a bunch of candidates who should get in and didn't get in last night. And one of them being Bill Belichick. It's just nuts. My
guess is we're going to see some real changes.
I don't know what they're going to be. I saw some people from the Hall of Fame last night back there. I hugged them out. This is not easy for them. Certainly when they're hearing Jimmy Johnson saying, "I'm not showing up," and Emmett saying, "I'm thinking about it."
Yeah.
And so
that's the worst part.
That's pretty powerful, man.
Like you said, that's the most hallowed grounds we have is the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And now they have people questioning the Hall of Fame, and now you have these legends saying they don't want to go back. That's
well, I'm also just, again, thinking of the people of Stark County, Ohio, for whom this is their their passion, right? And this is their passion to make sure that Induction Sunday is the greatest day for everybody being inducted and for everybody coming to watch the induction and for all football fans around the world. And that's what when that day is over, they think that over the next 364 days about day 365.
Yep.
And it's not, this shouldn't be laid at their feet by the lack of your presence, is what I'm saying, over all this. But if there are Hall of Famers like Emmett and like Jimmy Johnson saying what they're saying, then something does need to be addressed. That is a fact. I couldn't believe last night that there were some empty spots after all of this, and names of players that need to hear their names and deserve to hear their names, and then an octogenarian whose team is in its 11th Super Bowl with him. He doesn't hear his name called. Belichick doesn't hear his name called, but Vinatieri does. Is kind of wild, man.
Yeah, wild.
Kind of wild, but at least you heard Vinatieri's name. And Kurt was the one who got to introduce him. And I thought should I ask him, do you want to swap? Wow. But he even mentioned he got one ring at my expense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.